guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about how to plan the perfect wedding without breaking the bank. Guys, weddings are expensive. I can tell you that because we just got married. Well, I say just, but it's been over 2 months, yay us. And the planning process was great. You know, everything from the engagement all the way through our honeymoon was great, and we loved it. We spent a lot of time planning and, you know, just doing our research. And a lot of people have asked me, oh, how did you come up with this idea, or how were you able to execute it this way, and how did things work out for you? Why did you go for this venue over that venue? What's the importance of venue reviews? And just a lot of questions. And I figured I'll come here and share all that with you, because in the process I learned a lot of things, and I feel like a lot of people don't know what it entails. Understand the intricacies that take place when you're planning a wedding, especially when you're on a budget and you're trying not to break the bank. So I'm going to be talking about that today. If you're new to my channel, thanks for stopping by. My name is Annette. I release videos once or twice a week covering a wide variety of topics. If you're already subscribed to my channel, thank you so much for subscribing. If you're not, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Also, while you're at it, go ahead and follow me on Instagram. I'm very active on social media. My Instagram handle is @itsannette, and I post pictures almost every day. I always have a lot of stories covering a wide variety of topics, and yeah, so go ahead and do just that, and thank you so much for stopping by. So first thing first, before we get into the 7 tips that I'm going to share with you on how to plan a perfect wedding without breaking the bank, first thing we need to talk about is weddings and how expensive they are. Now, even if you're going just to the courthouse and then after that you're going to like have a barbecue with your friends, or you're going to dinner, it's going to cost you money. There's no wedding that's just absolutely free. You can cut corners here and there, but weddings are expensive. So that's the first thing you need to come to terms with. Of course, we had a budget, and I knew I didn't want to exceed a certain number. It also came as a surprise later on how quick things add up and how much money just keeps coming out of your bank account. So if you're not married yet and if you're planning for a wedding, I recommend you get ready for that. But hopefully this video will help you with regard to making choices that will prevent that from happening. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, I'm saying this. So the first thing I recommend you do is to have a budget. Now, I don't mean have a budget where you're like, okay, I'm spending $20,000 for this wedding. No. What I mean is have a budget that takes into consideration every single thing. And then at the end of the day, after putting those things in a column or putting those things together, come up with a number and know that that's what you're going to work with. So for example, what I did was early on, I created, like maybe a week after the engagement, I created an Excel spreadsheet with, you know, different categories of expenses. I covered everything, included our engagement party, my bridal shower, the wedding, my dress, his suit, costs associated with the honeymoon, my makeup, my hair, my nails, my shoes, everything. I put every single thing down. Photographer, videographer, the major things that you'd expect, and the minor things you wouldn't expect, like getting your hair done or getting your nails done, or even your veil or getting your dress altered. Little things like that. People tend to not pay attention to those things until they realize, well, it's actually a problem. It's actually part of the expenses. For example, you can get a dress and you can budget $1,000 for a dress. Okay, good. But then when you get the dress, 99.9% of the time, you're going to have to make alterations to that dress. And alterations cost anywhere from $200 to $600. So if you don't know that, I'm glad to share that with you, but if you do know that, then it's best to factor that into your final calculation of as to the wedding expenses. So yeah, put together a budget of everything that's important to you. Not just a big number, but also the small numbers, because those small numbers, when you enumerate everything and you have costs associated with each and every item, and you compute everything together, it's going to let you know exactly how much your wedding is going to cost. And then from there you can eliminate things. So if you do an itemized budget that everything comes down to $40,000 and that's too expensive, then you go ahead and start cutting down things and get to the amount which you're comfortable with. It could be 20, it could be 30, but you need to make sure that everything is accounted for. Even the extras that you're going to have to tip your photographer, your videographer on the wedding day, you have to factor that in as well. So that's my #1 advice for you. Second tip is for you to ruthlessly cut down on guests. Guests are expensive. I actually remember a good friend of mine invited me for his wedding right out of law school. We kind of like sat together, me, him, and another of my friends. It was all 3 of us. We sat next to each other probably for 65% of our entire time in law school. So if we took 35 classes together, we probably sat, you know, next to each other, all 3 of us, for like 25 of those classes. And he invited me for his wedding, and I RSVP'd. Yes, I had every intention of going, but then I think I went overseas and my flight didn't make it back in time, so I couldn't make the wedding, and I thought, oh, he won't notice, it'll be fine. And he was really upset at me because, you know, it cost $250 per head. And at that time, I didn't really pay attention to it. I'm like, oh, okay, that's why you pissed off, whatever. Now, oh my God, every single person who RSVP'd for my wedding and didn't show up, if you're watching this video, yeah, you already know. But anyway, all that goes to say is guests are expensive. So while you may have the best relationship with a co-worker of yours, while your beautician may know your best kept secret, and while your landlord may be a cool guy to have beers with, they may not necessarily be the best guests to have at your wedding, because you have to think about it this way. Our wedding costs about $150 per guest, and after writing down all our family members and our closest friend, every other person that we had decided to add to the list, we always asked ourselves this question: do we like this person enough to pay $150 for them and their plus one? Most people get a plus one, you gotta remember that, that's $300. And then you think about it, we like you, but do we like you enough to incur the $300 fee for you and your guest? Chances are, no. So we had to go ahead and be ruthless with our list. Now I'm Nigerian, so weddings in Nigeria are like carnivals. You know, they're like 900 guests, 2,000 guests, and it's just crazy. Well, Ray, on the other hand, comes from a small family, so weddings for him were like 60 to 100 guests. So we had to come to a common ground to have a wedding, obviously, that includes our family members and our friends, and select people we worked with, but also one that didn't break the bank, and one that we could look around and know everybody in the room, and everybody in the room actually contributed to our lives and our welfare and our well-being one way or the other. So be very ruthless when it comes to cutting down your guest list. Not everybody needs to be there. Not everybody needs to be part of your special day. Well, if money is not a concern for you at all, and you just want to have a big old party and invite everybody, then that's fine. But I think most people, especially my followers who are watching this video, fall into the category where we need to budget, we need to plan for weddings and things. So take that into consideration and be very ruthless when it comes to putting together your guest list. And that brings me to tip number 3. Try to find alternatives in every area of wedding planning. So for example, if you want a summer wedding, like we wanted a summer wedding, I wanted an outdoor wedding, and I wanted a wedding that will be nice and I won't be cold or too hot. So I just wanted a nice summer wedding. But May and June are peak months for summer weddings, even to an extent July is. August is not. September and October is also a peak time because a lot of people want early fall weddings so they can have like Thanksgiving themed weddings, or, you know, rustic weddings. So that leaves us with a situation where May and June are peak periods, and September and October are peak periods. So what did we decide to do? We decided to get married in August. Not only did we choose a date that was special to us because it's the anniversary of when we met, we selected a month that, you know, ticket prices were typically cheaper for local travel compared to, you know, May and June, early months in the summer, and we're able to get a cheaper price per head in the month of August compared to the months of May and June and September and October. So that's one way you can find alternatives. If you're not very religious and days of the week don't mean certain things to you, then consider getting married on alternative to the regular preferred day of Saturday. I, for example, I'm Catholic, and I know my family would like to go to church on Sunday, so the Sunday wedding was not even on my radar at all, something I didn't even consider. But if you come from a family that you are not religious and your family members wouldn't care, then try a date on the day of the week that's cheaper. Fridays and Sundays actually are cheaper than Saturdays. So if you're not religious and Sunday's not a big problem for you, or if you're Jewish and you can get away with getting married on Friday night, then totally go ahead and do that. You're saving at least $10 to $15 per head per person, because those days are technically cheaper than Saturdays. Another way you can save money also, as far as an alternative, is with your wedding dress. For example, I got my wedding dress from Pronovius, and as much as I had them measure me true to size, I knew that I would need to get some alteration done. Now at Pronovius, which I think is standard for most bridal ateliers, they charge a flat fee for alterations. Doesn't matter if you're changing one button or you're taking the entire middle section of your dress out. It's a flat fee of either $600 or $800. I think that's absurd, especially when you're already paying a lot for the dress. So what I did was I found a tailor who specializes in bridal dresses, wedding gowns, and alterations, and consulted her instead, and I paid at least 60% less to get my dress altered the way I wanted it compared to how much I would have paid had I used the alteration services provided by the bridal salon. So finding alternatives helps you save money here and there. So those are just 3 examples of ways you can find alternatives. You can also find alternatives with regard to the meals that have been provided to you. See if you can reduce the amount of hors d'oeuvres so you can cut down on the amount per head. Things like that. There are always alternatives, and there are always ways you can save money here and there. Tip number 4 is to start saving early. Now, before Ray proposed to me, I knew it was coming. I didn't know the date. I didn't know anything about the ring, but we talked about it so much so that I knew it was coming. And I didn't want to be ambushed with wedding-related costs between when we got engaged and getting married. So a couple of months before we got engaged, I actually started saving money and putting money aside in an account that's now our joint account. Every paycheck I was putting away like $200, $300, $400 here and there. And by the time we got engaged, I had enough money to throw our engagement party within a month. We were not at that point trying to then start the whole process of saving. We had already started from before, and we had somewhat of a cushion to tide us over. So I recommend that you start saving a little earlier. If you think that proposal is on the horizon for you and your loved one, then go ahead and get started on your savings. And then when you actually do get engaged, be more ruthless with your savings and increase the amount of money that you put aside every paycheck for wedding-related expenses. Saving early helps reduce the anxiety you're going to get towards the end. No matter what, no matter how seamlessly you've planned, you are going to get anxious towards the end just because that's the nature of things. Things could go wrong and you're human, and you have to figure out, okay, how can I balance all these concerns, and how can I make sure that at least I have some floater cash that will cover the expenses. And one of the best ways you can do that is to plan ahead of time and start saving early. Tip number 5 is to have a vision and stick to your vision. I wanted a summer, whimsical but elegant wedding, so I stuck with that vision. I stuck with that plan. I wanted lots of chandeliers, I wanted lots of flowers, I wanted lots of lighting, and I wanted a light floral, feel to the event. And as much as I often felt pulled in different directions, like, oh, maybe we should get a rustic themed wedding, or maybe we should get a New York style wedding because we are in the East Coast, I made sure I stuck with what I wanted. That way I was focused and not jumping from project to project and spending money and time to buy this item or to buy that item. I stuck to what I wanted, and I made sure that I found the best deals possible within that realm of the vision that I had. So it's important for you to do that because time is money, and the more time you spend researching other things or trying to visit other locations or trying to find out other themes that you think may actually be nice or unique, the more money you spend and the more time is wasted from you actually doing what you need to do to make sure your wedding vision comes to reality. Tip number 6, don't be afraid to bargain. When I met with the, manager at our wedding venue, I told him straight up that I am going to bargain with you because within a 30-mile radius, 10 to 15 other venues that I could have selected, and they would be open to take my money. They'll be open to the publicity that I'll provide to them by virtue of my YouTube channel. They'll be open to, meeting my demands. So the fact that I've chosen you means that you are going to work with me and you are going to give me bargains, or at least be open to the idea of bargaining. And that came to pass. When it came to issues like tablecloth, I told him I'm not going to pay $2 extra for tablecloths. I'm already bringing over 150 guests, and no, I'm not going to do that. Is there a way you can include that into the total price? And he said, sure, not a problem. I'll go ahead and absorb that cost for you. When it came to paying per head for the ceremony, we had to pay a certain dollar amount. I think it's between $6 and $10 per person. I had to bargain that down to almost $3. I'm like, we're already going to pay this amount to each person for the ceremony, and they're already going to be here. There's no reason for me to pay like double. So I negotiated my way to make sure that was a possibility, and it did come to pass as well. With regard to the hotel I got close by, again, I let them know that, listen, I have a group of people, we can just go next door to a different hotel and get a better deal from a different hotel. So I'm not going to pay extra for a shuttle service because I feel like that's something that should be complimentary, being that you have people who are going to be staying here for 2 to 3 days. And they were like, okay, fine, we can totally do that. With regard to the bridal suite, the bridal suite was complimentary by virtue of me booking, the hotel room block, but I also asked for a discounted rate for the night leading up to the wedding, so that way I could have the suite for 2 days and pay for one. But also I wanted to have a suite, but I didn't want to have to pay full price. And then while they couldn't accommodate that request, because you're not going to get everything you want, but at least they're willing to bargain, and then they upgraded me to a bigger suite. That way, for the amount that I paid for a junior suite, I got a senior suite with so much more room and, you know, a lot more perks. Things like that. You should always ask. If you don't ask, the answer will always be no. And it's your wedding. Once you tell people it's my wedding, I'm excited, I just want to do this and I don't want to have to break the bank, and let them know that other people have been accommodating to your service and to your request, they're probably at least likely going to listen to you and see what they can do and see where they can cut corners with you. So don't be afraid to ask, don't be afraid to bargain, don't be afraid to negotiate. It's your special day, and it's a very special time in your life. And if you're concerned about money, as you should, or even if you're not concerned about money, if you're trying to save money, as you should be, it's always a good avenue to save money if you ask questions and if you try to bargain your way into savings. So definitely consider doing that. The last tip I'll share with you guys today is for you to cash in on the vendor preferred options. So when we met with our venue, they gave us a file with a lot of vendor preferred options, and I'm like, okay, fine, I know it. You guys have like an agreement with these guys, so you're definitely going to recommend them. So you guys going to get a cut, he's going to get a cut, everybody gets a cut, you're happy. Well, not on my dime. I'm not in the business of making other people rich. I'm not in the business of making rich people richer if I can control it. So no, I'm going to find my own vendor, and I'm going to find my own photographer, I'm going to find my own cinematographer, things like that. And yeah, rightfully so, except I kept looking and I kept encountering crazy people who will like set up appointments but never show up, or people who will tell us, yeah, we have your day available to be a photographer, and then we plan 4 weeks ahead of time to go meet with them, and we show up at the meeting and they're like, okay, well, try to see if you're available for your day. I'm like, you just told us 4 weeks ago that our day was available, and now we're meeting with you to go over the specifics, and now you're telling me you're not sure it's available? Like, back and forth. End of the day, we ended up leaving a really scathing review on WeddingWire, Google, The Knot, everywhere, just so people can know how inconsiderate they are and how unprofessional they are. But I digress. After just going through vendor after vendor and not being satisfied and just having our hang-ups and not just being all the way happy with our vendor selection, I then went back to the old file that I got from the venue and said, okay, let me actually check these people out. And long story short, we ended up using the photographer that was recommended because his photography was just out of this world amazing. And when we checked the prices that he offered as listed on his website and compared those prices with the prices that were listed in the handout that were given to us, by choosing him through our venue, we saved at least $1,500 and got like an amazing package. Basically, we had him for an unlimited amount of time. So we had our photographer, probably, our wedding wasn't until 5:30. At 9 o'clock, the photographer was already there. He was already at my suite taking pictures of, you know, little things and just setting things up early compared to other photographer deals that we're seeing who were only going to work for like 6 hours. So they'll have to like get there maybe an hour before the wedding starts and then take pictures of everything. In the same way, we got a great deal with the MC because I already had a DJ, a good family friend of mine, and I knew that I was going to use his service because I wanted to have a nice mix of American and Nigerian music. But most MCs come with DJ as well, so it was difficult finding an MC that wasn't attached to a DJ service. And through my venue, we were able to get an MC who, at the end of the day, you know, we paid him like a nominal fee for his services. And then the same thing happened with the videographer. Again, all these people were listed in the preferred vendor program given to us from the venue, but we just didn't pay attention to it. So that's a hidden secret for you guys. If you have a venue or you have a vendor and they tell you, hey, this person is a good person for XYZ reason, check them out. Don't do what I did where I actually felt like, oh no, you guys are trying to make money off of me, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to find my own person. No, they've already done the work for you. They've already been pre-vetted. The reputation of the venue is on the line because if they know that they recommend somebody who does a poor job, you're likely to, spread the word and let it be known, and that affects their reputation as well. So I've already done the pre-vetting process for you, so it's best you go through your preferred vendor list provided to you by a venue and actually use the services provided. I ended up using a makeup artist for my bridesmaid, through the photographer that I selected, and I selected the photographer through the preferred vendor list provided to us by the venue. The same goes for our cinematographer, our MC, and who else? I feel like I'm forgetting someone. And the limousine service. And I was able to bargain with the limo company actually for a good deal as well. So yeah, be sure to consult your venue with regard to vendors. Ask them who they recommend and ask them why they recommend XYZ people, because it's just a way for you to save time and money, and it's a way that you can actually factor all that into your wedding planning. So guys, those are the tips that I'll share with you today with regard to how you can plan the wedding of your dreams without breaking the bank. So if you like this video, be sure to go ahead and give it a nice thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If you're new to this channel, thanks for stopping by, and I will catch you guys in my next one. I hope this was helpful to you to the extent that you're planning a wedding, or you have a family member or a friend or a sibling who's planning a wedding and they need guidance with regard to what to do and how to plan a wedding. And also money is an issue. Money is always an issue, and they want to find out pointers here and there that they can use to help save money and help things work together for them. So I hope this was helpful in some way, shape or form. Please share this video with your friends and family members, and if you're not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and do just that. Otherwise, I will catch you guys in my next video. Thanks guys.